Good evening. I am Dr. K. Pushpam, D. Lit. Assistant Professor in Sociology. Today we are discussing about hypothesis. What is hypothesis and how do you understand hypothesis? Introduction. The word hypothesis is a combination of two words, hypo and thesis. Hypo means under or less than or tentative, and thesis means general opinion or statement about solution of a problem. Hypothesis means tentative statement about the solution of a problem, or hypothesis means the guesses to solve the problems. So the hypothesis is a testable relationship between two or more than two variables according to Singh A.K. Next, moving on, definitions of the hypothesis. A hypothesis is defined as a tentative proposition suggested as a solution to a problem or as an explanation of some phenomenon. It is defined by R.E. Then next definitions provided by the Webster. He defines hypothesis as the guesses made by the researcher which either solve the problem or guide him in further investigations. Next definition, according to John W. Best, hypothesis is a shrewd guess or inference that is formulated and personally adopted to explain observed fact or conditions and to guide in further investigations. Next definitions, good and bad. Observed, a hypothesis states what we are looking for. A hypothesis looks forward. It is a proposition which can be put to a test, determine its validity. It may prove to correct or incorrect. Next one is M.C. Geigon has defined hypothesis as a testable statement of a potential relationship between two or more variables, that is advanced as potential solution to the problem. Simply says hypothesis is a testable statement and display the relationship between two variables. Next definitions provided by the Kerlinger. He describes it is as a conjectural statement of the relationship between two or more variables. Next one is Webster has defined hypothesis as a tentative assumption made in order to draw out and test its logical or empirical consequences. Test. So what is test? A hypothesis and also a hypothesis test. The test here means either to prove it wrong or confirm it. The test will be right or wrong in a manner we need to, as a researcher, prove that. Next one is a few examples provide here for hypothesis. First one is upper class people have fewer children than lower class people. Next hypothesis, children from broken homes tend to become delinquents. Next one is group study increases higher division achievement. Next one is hostlers use more alcohol than non-hostlers. Economic instability hampers development of an establishment. Next one is job satisfaction decreases as working hours increases. Next, moving on, characteristics of useful hypothesis or characteristics of good hypothesis. Hood and according to Hood and Gadd have described the following characteristics of a good hypothesis. Hypothesis must be conceptually clear. The hypothesis should be clear and precise to consider it to be reliable. The concept should be defined loosely. It should be operationalized. It should be commonly accepted. These should be communicable. In the hypothesis, as institutionalization increases, production decreases. The concept is not easily communicable. It should have empirical reference. If the hypothesis is a relational hypothesis, then it should be stating the relationship between variables. This means that it should have variables which could be put to empirical test, that is, they should not merely be moral judgments. For examples, capitalists exploit workers, or officers exploit subordinates, or young people are more radical in ideas, or efficient management leads to harmonious relations in an establishment. These hypotheses cannot be considered useful hypotheses. Next one is, it should be specific. Example, vertical mobility is decreasing in industries, or exploitation leads to agitations. The hypothesis must be specific and should have scope for conducting more tests. It should be related to available techniques, that is, not only researcher should be aware of the techniques, but these should be actually available. Take the hypothesis, change in infrastructure, that is means of productions and relations of production, leads to change in social structure like family, religion, etc. Such hypothesis cannot be tested with techniques. The way of explanation of the hypothesis must be very simple, and it should be understood that simplicity of the hypothesis is not related to its significance. It should be related to body of theory. Thank you. So these are the understanding of hypothesis, and what are the characteristics we'll have in the hypothesis test. Thank you so much.